I'm not good with the microphone because I'm usually pretty loud without one. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I was going to take a minute and just give you a little bit of background on the beneficiary selection process that Cathedral Giving by Design does each year, and how we came to be with this amazing organization. So back in, I think, after the show in February, they opened up the application process. And Cathedral Giving by Design received 22 applications from amazing nonprofits. And there was a committee of, I think, about 13 to 15 people that spent a really good amount of time going through all of the applications. And there's questions and a rubric sort of that we follow to guide our footsteps in that selection process. And I cannot tell you how overwhelmingly Global Village Project rose to the top very quickly. And it makes our hard work as a Cathedral Giving by Design team just worth the hours to work with a team as strong and sharp as Global Village Project. So finally, after we selected them, we started to ponder the honorary chair selection. And since Global Village Project is about a school for refugee girls, we started thinking about educators that are in our cathedral community. And we picked 4 of the most amazing rock stars. I think one of the cathedral staff says it is the Mount Rushmore of honorary chairs. So I would like for them to stand now. So Sarah Chapman, Mary Sims Wright, Cheryl Mullins, where are Cheryl, and Nancy Bean. Thank you so much. If you got an email over the weekend, you probably saw that collectively they have 151 years of education experience. And I am delighted to share with you that this Thursday, these 4 women will be going and sitting in the classroom at Global Village Project and learning and really meeting some of the girls, meeting some of the teachers, and really experiencing their organization face to face. So enough of my talking. I'd like to turn it over to my co-chair, Jane Griffin, and she's going to announce Global Village Project, and you don't want it.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. As Pam said, Cathedral Giving by Design is really excited to partner with Global Village Project for this year. So what am I trying to say? Yeah, we're excited to partner with them. We have 4 representatives today from Global Village Project. Natalie Kuki, back in the back, philanthropy officer. Lane Strickland, director of development, is here. Allison Azell, head of school, and Morley Desai, board member serving as treasurer. We're excited to partner with them for the next 5 months and raise as much money as possible for their school, and we're here today to be introduced to them, learn about their mission and how we can support. So thank you for being here.
Good morning. I'm Allison Allman-Diesel, and I'm the head of school at Global Village Project, and I'm so honored to be here over the moon to have been selected as the beneficiary for Cathedral Giving by Design, and very happy to be here in the cathedral. I grew up at St. Luke's and I'm still a St. Luke's member, but I spent my youth here in the youth group at St. Philip's because y'all took much better trips and had more cool youth leaders, so it's fun to be back, just a few years later. And also the Episcopal Church is how I actually found my way to Global Village Project. It was through a refugee ministry outreach we did at St. Luke's 15 years ago that led me down a path that has me standing here today now as the head of school for Global Village Project, which I'm just honored and thrilled. So let me just give you a little background on who we are and what we do. This is a bit of a Refugee 101, so if this is new information, I wanted to share it. If it's old, bear with me, we'll get to our school stuff in just a second. But many people have never really understood what is a refugee versus an immigrant versus an asylum seeker, so I just wanted to pause and to say what the official definition of a refugee is. And this is defined by the United Nations High Commission on Refugees, that a person who is forced to flee their home or country to escape war, violence, persecution based on race, nationality, religion, or sect, and who is unable or unwilling to return. So it's really important to understand here, no one chooses to be a refugee. These are people who have been forced to flee their home country for really horrible reasons that's often hard to imagine. And typically what will happen with refugees who have been forced to leave their home country, they end up in a refugee resettlement camp in a neighboring country. Many refugees will remain in that camp for years with the hope that they one day could return to their home country. Many refugees that are coming in resettlement actually were born in refugee camps because their parents had hoped for years and years that one day they could return home. But at some point, a family will make a decision. They realize that for their children's benefit, they're never going to be able to return to their home country, and so they ask for resettlement through the UN. And the UNHCR will take people who've asked to be resettled and replace them in other third countries. And the United States is one of those countries that receives resettled refugees. That process to be resettled takes 18 to 24 months. So a typical refugee coming to the United States has not only spent years in a refugee camp, but then 2 years through a vetting process so that by the time they get here, it is the arduous process. But when they arrive, they have work permits and a path to citizenship. They have social security numbers, they pay taxes, they have legal status to be here. So I just wanted to sort of start with that, of why resettlement, what it is and why it's so important, and just to stress that no one chooses this path, but it is a life-saving path for millions of people. So right now, most recent numbers is there's over 30 million people worldwide in refugee status. So these are people in resettlement camps, either seeking to return to their home country or seeking resettlement in a new country. Less than 1% actually get resettled. In 1980, the US passed the Refugee Resettlement Act, and since that time, we've welcomed over 3 million people to the United States as refugees. Last year, we welcomed 100,000 refugees into the United States. And really important here to emphasize that almost half of them are children. These are families coming in with children. The top countries right now, if you will look at refugee resettlement, are Democratic Republic of Congo, Afghanistan, Venezuela, Syria, and Myanmar. So what happens when a family comes to resettle? These children usually, I'm gonna come back, sorry, nope, sorry, back. The children have had a lot of misschooling, particularly the girls. They're coming from countries where they either haven't been allowed to go to school, or they got pulled from school early, or they're in refugee camps that didn't have good schooling options. And typically, the girls who are coming in, we have found, had 3 to 6 years of misschooling. And so about 16 years ago, a group of volunteers here in Atlanta were working with refugees on the weekend doing after-school tutoring, and they discovered that these girls really had a disadvantage compared to their brothers. And so that is when our school was formed 16 years ago to service these girls who've had this interrupted education. And our typical girls tend to be about 11 to 19 years old. They've been here for less than 3 years. They've had a big gap in their education. They may speak 2 to 3 languages, but they're just learning English. So they come to us and around what we call like a middle school. They're here for 3 years with us. And then from our school, they go on to high school. And this current year, we have 46 students coming from 12 different countries, and they range in age from 11 to 19. So instead of me talking about our girls, I'm gonna let our girls talk about themselves and what the school does.
My name is Bertha Nivigira. My family came to the U.S. in 2008. We didn't have any places to go. From Burundi to Congo to Tanzania, we're just there, just transitioning, looking for a safer place.
My name is Ayat Salame, and I'm from Syria. My family moved to the United States in 2015.
My name is Esso, and I was born in Mela refugee camp. Originally, my parents, they're from Burma.
We came to GVP, and at that time, that was the first year of GVP, 2009. And I just remember walking into the building, I just felt their energy and I felt welcomed. You know, people were smiling, people were like, looked kind of like me.
I get to experience this diversity of people from all over the world, and we all speak different languages, and we get to learn each other culture, and we get to share like different languages every single day.
We used to have like computers over there, and we just go there, like play music and just like start dancing. Everybody would play music for their own country. We didn't even understand what they were saying, but we just dance.
GVP is like a second home to all their students, basically. Or at least to me, like GVP is my second home. You don't feel like you're in school. You feel like you're in your house. A lot of the students are just like your sisters, basically, and it feels like you have a bunch of sisters, and then that's awesome.
I think like I got my first like dose of like, like women empowerment here at GVP when we used to sing all these songs about like powerful women, learn about all these women around the world who've, made a difference.
And I remember I was the Queen Elizabeth I. So I have to tell audience about myself, and then some other friends there like Mother Teresa.
Sojourner Truth. What I learned was that, look, your story like began as a refugee. Your story, began you being raised in a refugee camp. However, your story doesn't have to continue it that way, and it doesn't have to end that way. And you have the power to change that.
I learned that like we all deserve to dream big, and then we all deserve to like work on our dream.
Even though I'm a refugee, or even though I'm not good at communicating or talking or speaking English, like I still want to achieve what I want to achieve in life.
One of my passion is helping others. That's what I learned from GVP, basically. Is like I needed to pay forward and help others, because like a lot of people helped me in here, so I wanted to become a nurse so I can help kids with cancer.
I know that like right now what's happening in Burma is really like break my heart into pieces. It is very violent seeing like people are dying for no reason. I want to take their place, I want to be there, and I want them to get opportunity like I have and study here instead.
I'm getting my master's in international development with concentration in peace building and youth development. I am interested in figuring out the root cause of all these issues that make people leave their countries, and I want to bring an end to like peace. It's exhausting. At the end of the day, the people who know nothing about what's going on are the ones who suffer. And I'm those people, I know how it feels because my family was that. So I'm interested in like contributing to the efforts of bringing peace and just ending these like unending conflicts.
It is true that I will never be where I am today without the help from GVP school, teachers, mentors, and friends. And I remember when I did an orientation at the college, the first day, like they give us a name tag, right? It has my name and then my high school name, like Academy of the Oaks, and they have the foreign university name. And then after I get back home, I just place that sticker like in front of my mirror, and I just took a marker pen, and above my name, like I will literally write Global Village Project, because without Global Village Project, I want to be here at Academy of the Oaks, or I want to be here at Former University. So that's the very first step of my life in this country, and yeah.
All right, that gets me every time. That beautiful woman at the end, Esso, I'm very proud to say, is a teacher at GVP currently. One of our amazing teaching staff, but Esso is special to all of us. So let me just pause and talk a little bit what we do. You heard from the girls the impact we've had, the lives we're changing. We're giving sort of a life-changing opportunity for these young women to get started in America with their education. And what is our model? How do we do it? We have 4 pillars: English language learning, which we're doing in every class, even science class. Every teacher is an ESOL certified teacher, so we're working on English and language in every class. Social and emotional learning is one of our core pillars because these girls have gone through trauma and they're also teenagers. And so we have mentorship and a counselor on staff, and social and emotional learning classes are core to what we do. STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So that is an integral part of every class too, as well as mentoring. Every student, when she leaves us after 3 years, goes with a mentor, someone who is attached to her and her family as she navigates high school and beyond, so that they're always part of the GVP community. We had recently a professor from the University of North Georgia did a research study on our model and on our girls. And I was meeting with her this last week on her findings, and she said one of the key things she found was that these girls, when they leave us, have relationships that empower them, that they feel like they have agency and control over their education. And this is absolutely part of what we're doing intentionally with the mentoring and the social emotional learning, because you can teach ABCs and science all day, but without those two fundamental building blocks, you're not set up for success. And so that's where our girls, what we're building within them and our walls, and why it's so important. People always ask us, what's your impact? So our girls usually every year advance about 2 to 3 grade levels. So they're entering us with an elementary level math or language, they're going on to high school in 3 years. They're jumping really fast, ready for 9th grade and beyond. Nationally, English language learners graduate from high school at a rate about 66%. In DeKalb County, it's 60%. Our girls have a 79% high school graduation rate, and just phenomenal. And a lot of them then go on to college. We have 30% of our graduates in college. Nationally or worldwide, refugees, about 6% go to college. And we do it with a very intentional small model where we have one teacher with 15 girls in her classroom with a teacher assistant, and then an army of volunteers. We have about 70 to 80 volunteers at the school who are working in the classrooms. That's actually how I even first came to the school. I was a classroom volunteer for about 8 years, helping with that one-on-one teaching. So what we're doing and why we're so excited to be here today is that we're growing. We have found over the last several years that we turn away more students than we can accept. This past year, we had 50 applicants and only were able to take in 18 girls. So 2 years ago, we bought a building in Decatur, and we, as of last week, have started construction on that building, which will allow us next year to begin bringing in more students and eventually serving 100 girls at a time. And so just tremendous impact on the community because there's so many girls out there that we want to serve that we can't. And so with your generosity and the Giving by Design, part of what we're gonna be able to do is have some wonderful firsts for these girls. You may have seen in the video, girls in a dining hall, that is Agnes Scott College. That is where we go eat lunch every day, and we walk a half mile there and a half mile back to have lunch. We're gonna have a cafeteria. We can have food right on site. You also may have seen there girls on a little green stage. That is the Decatur Library that we have to borrow for performances. We're gonna have a stage in an auditorium in our new building. And we're also gonna have a fabulous library, which right now we have a little library, but we're gonna have a dedicated, beautiful library. And those are the kind of things that we're gonna be able to do with the proceeds from Giving by Design, which we're just thrilled. I got ahead of myself, so thank you for that. And so from here, what I wanted to do is turn it over to a member of our board, Morley Desai, to talk a little bit about the mission of GVP and why it's so important and the impact we have.
Thank you, Allison. So on behalf of the board of the directors for the Global Village Project, I am so honored to be here today. So your presence is not just appreciated, it is meaningful. It shows that you believe, as we do, that education is not a privilege for a few, but a right for all. So at Global Village Project, our mission is it's very clear: to reactivate the schooling of refugee girls so they can access all the benefits that an education offers. The girls come from every corner of the world: Afghanistan, Syria, Myanmar, Guatemala, Somalia, and beyond. And each of them carries with her a story often marked by displacement, upheaval, and hardship. And by the time they arrive at our doors, they have missed, on average, almost 6 years of schooling. 6 years, think about that, especially for a young child. 6 years of lost learning, 6 years without the stability of a classroom, 6 years without the daily routine of teachers, books, and peers. And yet, when they come to us, they arrive with hope. They arrive with resilience. They arrive with the determination to start again, to rebuild what was interrupted, and to dream of futures that for a time may have seemed unreasonable. Our role is to fill in these educational gaps, to provide a safe space for them to learn, to support their academic journeys, and to prepare them not just to survive, but to thrive in high school, in college, in careers, and beyond in a brand new country. I want to share with you why this mission resonates so deeply with me, and it begins with my own family, specifically my maternal grandmother. She was born in a rural village in British India in the 1930s. In that village, there was a school for boys, but there was no school for girls. Education was not seen as a priority for daughters, but someone made an investment in her. That person taught her to read and write and instilled in her a lifelong love of learning. Though she never attended formal school, she carried with her an insatiable thirst for knowledge. She read whatever she could get her hands on. She grew up understanding that knowledge was power, that learning was a pathway to opportunity, and that education could change the course of a life. She married young at 16 and moved to Bombay, where she raised 6 children. And while her own educational journey was cut short, she was uncompromising, even militant about the education of her children. My mother recalls that schoolwork always came first. Extracurricular activities, hobbies, friendships, all of that was secondary. Education was non-negotiable. And because of her persistence, all 6 of her children finished high school, pursued higher education, and went on to build successful lives in America. So fast forward to my generation, her grandchildren. There are 12 of us. For us, college was never a question. It was an expectation, almost a given. We've pursued advanced degrees, often more than one. On average, each of us has nearly 2 degrees that we joke sometimes we've probably hit the point of diminishing returns on education. But the truth is that none of this would have been possible if someone had not taken the time nearly a century ago to teach my grandmother how to read. That one act, that single investment in her potential, created a ripple effect that has touched the lives of dozens of people across 3 generations. That is the power of education. And that is the opportunity that stands before you. When you invest in the girls at the Global Village Project, you are not just changing their lives in the present, you are changing the lives of their children and their grandchildren, and you are setting into motion a ripple effect that will extend far beyond what we can see today. So imagine a young girl arriving at GVP after 6 years of interrupted schooling. At first, she struggles. The lessons are overwhelming, the language feels foreign, the future feels uncertain, but then slowly, she begins to rebuild her confidence. She finds teachers who believe in her, classmates who encourage her, and a community that supports her. She learns, she grows, and she begins to dream again. And one day, she graduates from high school. She continues on to college. She builds a career. She raises children who never question whether they will go to school because for them, education is a given. That is the ripple effect that you can help create. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to be the one standing in front of the classroom. You don't have to be the one writing the lesson plans or grading the assignments. Simply by being here and supporting this mission, you are part of the story. You are the unseen hand that lifts these girls up. You are the people that make it possible for them to dream bigger, aim higher, and go further than they ever thought possible. So I invite you to reflect on your own story. Who invested in you? who made it possible for you to be where you are today. Maybe it was a parent, a teacher, a mentor, even a stranger that gave you a chance. Whoever that person was, that they set you on a path that brought you here, and now you have the opportunity to do that for someone else. So on behalf of the board, I thank you. I thank you for showing up here today. I thank you for believing in the power of education, and I thank you for believing in these girls at the Global Village Project. Together, we are not just changing lives, we're changing generations. So let's continue to create those ripple effects that will extend far beyond what we can imagine today. Thank you.
So now we would love to turn it over for questions about the school, about the girls, anything we can answer, we'd be happy to do. Anyone? Yes. Yeah. So the question was, where do the girls go to high school? So most of our girls historically have lived in Clarkston, Georgia. So when refugee resettlement, when they come to the U.S., the agencies that are partnered with the families will find them their first apartment. And Clarkston historically has been where most of the refugees have been resettled. In the last couple of years, we've seen more girls' families living in Tucker, Stone Mountain, Druid Hills. So I think our last graduating class was in 5 different DeKalb County high schools. And part of that's just that Clarkston's getting more expensive and families are moving. But we do mostly go to Clarkston High School, and they enter in 9th grade. DeKalb County schools, when you turn 21, you can no longer physically be in the high school. And so we try to get our girls, if we have an older girl, 18 or 19, get them, they may only spend 2 years with us because we want to get them there faster, but they graduate. I went to the Clarkston High School graduation this past spring and saw 12 GVP alums cross that stage, and it was magical. So, thank you.
What are the sources of funding you have?
Yeah, so the question was, what are our sources of funding? We are all contribution-based. So it is about, my director of development, correct me, but we have about 6 different streams. We have annual giving from individuals. We have grants from foundations. We do have a government grant through the Office of Refugee Resettlement. We have 2 major events, our Welcome Walk in November and a big gala in the spring. And then we also get money through the Apogee Tax Credit Program, which is where individuals can designate a portion of their income tax to different educational institutions. Of those 6 sources, we're pretty evenly spread across them. None of them have more than 20%. But again, every penny we get is because someone has given it to us. We don't have any income. The girls are all here tuition free. We pay for everything. Yes, Pam.
I'd love for you to share just a little bit about where you are now at Decatur Prep.
Yeah.
It's remarkable because it's
Yeah, so our home for the past 16 years since we were founded has been on the 2nd floor of Decatur Presbyterian Church. It looks, if you were to walk down it, like any church's Sunday school hallway. We have 6 classrooms. We have 1 room where 12 of our administrative staff are crammed together. We have a little bitty library. We share classrooms, so if one teacher's teaching math, another teacher might be having a small group in the hallway. It is crowded. We have 46 girls in there. And so we've been there for 16 years, a fabulous relationship with the church. They have been our partners. They have been so generous to us. But several years ago, when we were doing strategic planning, the thought was, there's more girls. We keep turning girls away. And I've been there when the parents come, they want their daughter to come to GVP, and we don't have enough spots. And it's heartbreaking. Every year we'll have even parents show up on the first day of school who we've told we don't have enough spots, but they bring their daughter. They stand on the doorstep and say, please, can she come? And it's one of the most heart-wrenching things to do, to say we don't have room. So the thought was, we need more room. We don't want to turn these girls away. We're not turning them away because they're not qualified or they don't need us. We just don't have spots. So the decision was made to get bigger. So we searched high and low and found it's an old church in Decatur. It's 3 different buildings, and it was used as a school at one point, so it's very, very well set up for us. We bought it about 2 years ago, and we have been doing a capital campaign in the interim to raise money to refurbish it, because it needs desperate renovation. And as I said, construction started last week. We should be done by this spring and ready to move in next year and start growing. And in there, we will have, as I said, a cafeteria, and we'll have outdoor space, and we will have an auditorium. We're gonna have learning labs and quiet rooms and a nurse's office. Right now, if someone has a headache, they come lie on my sofa. So it's gonna be really just amazing to have the resources these girls need. The church has been a great partner, but if anyone has toured, we are in a hallway and it's small. The tour doesn't take very long. If anyone does want to come see our facility now or see the new one, I love to give tours. So just always reach out. We would welcome you to come to the school to see the girls in action. Haven.
We're so glad you're here. I've known Allison since we were 4.
Yes.
This is awesome. Can you talk to us about volunteer opportunities?
Yes.
Beyond everybody coming?
Yes.
People doing by design, supporting people doing by design. What else?
Yes, absolutely. So the word village in our name is not an accident. We are a village. We may be 46 girls and 10 teachers and 12 admin staff, but we cannot do it alone. We have over 70 to 80 volunteers in our building every week. And these are volunteers who come to be in a classroom. And this, as I said, this is how I found the school. Volunteers in the classroom would be someone, you're in the room, the teacher's doing a lesson, and then maybe 2 girls at a different reading level that need a little bit more attention. So she will pull those 2 girls out and say, Allison, can you sit with these 2 and help them with this project or with this assignment? So that ability to give that one-on-one or small group learning opportunities is really important for our girls. So if you have a passion for being in a classroom and love working with young women, this is a great volunteer opportunity. And you can come once a week, you can come, we have some volunteers who come 5 days a week. But we do love and welcome volunteers in the classroom. We also have volunteers who do other things for us too. This week we're stuffing envelopes. Sometimes we have a volunteer manning the front desk, but we just love our volunteers. So if you have any interest in volunteering, reach out. There's many ways to get involved. We also have events. We have a welcome walk coming in November where we walk from downtown Clarkston to the church in Decatur where our school is. And it's our students, their families, alumni, teachers, staff, the community, hundreds of people walking together. We would welcome you on our welcome walk, get a team together, help us fundraise for that, and then just spreading the word. We find that anyone we tell about our school is floored. They've never heard of this, I had no idea. So, and they want to do more to help, so you are our best communicators. Tell people about this great school you've heard about. Tell them to get involved, to donate, to volunteer, because again, the village part is really important, and those volunteers are who we then turn to for mentors. So if you ever have the thought of mentoring one of these young women when she graduates, volunteering is a great way to get to know them. Yeah, absolutely. So something I get a lot is when I'd say we're a school for refugee girls, someone say, oh, do they live there? I'm like, well, no, they're refugees, but they came with their families. So their families are here in Atlanta. And so the families are absolutely integral to the school. So we do family council, which is sort of not quite a PTA, but it is parents, a smaller group of parents who meet on a regular basis that we will talk through about the mission of the school, ways that they're helping their daughters, things that they want us to do, so it's sort of parents' council. We have family events we do on weekends where we will have a math night or a science night where we bring in the families, their children, and that they feel integral to part of the schools. We have parent-teacher conferences, just like any school. The challenge in all of it is language barrier, so we rely heavily on interpreters for all of these events. We have a very large interpreter budget line item so that we can communicate with the families. We have a great system, there's an app on the phone where the principal can call a family and live on the phone have an interpreter so we can communicate. But yes, the families are important. And these girls, I think as Marley said, this is a ripple effect. When they learn and they are empowered, they empower their siblings, they empower their parents. I have a mentee who is a junior in high school, and she's the one who helps her brothers with homework. She's the one who helps her mom navigate medical bills. It's a ripple effect that we're helping all these families. Any other questions? Yes, Nancy. All right, so it's about 15 minutes south of downtown Decatur. It's still the city of Decatur. It's down Columbia Drive. You'd pass the seminary before you get to I-20. It's in a neighborhood. Looks like Brady Bunch houses, sort of ranch houses on rolling hills. Right now, we love being in downtown Decatur. We can just walk across the street for lunch, but it's gonna be a very different vibe. We're gonna be in a neighborhood. Our girls get to school on our bus. You may have seen the little bus in the video. We actually have a big bus as well. And the drive from Clarkston to the new school is about the same as it is to downtown Decatur. So the girls they won't feel a difference in how far it is. Yeah. All right, thank you. We are so grateful. Thank you, thank you.
So I know you've heard a couple mentions of the Welcome Walk. It is Saturday, November 1st. There will be information coming out to our Cathedral community in the next times and also in Julia's outreach letter. Our team is called CGBD Loves GVP. So if you can remember that, so we already have a team name, and I just invite anyone interested to join us. It's going to be a beautiful morning, and I look forward to spending time more with our GVP friends and the girls. In the next few weeks, you're going to be receiving a lot of information in the mail, through email, on our website, and of course social media platforms about our fundraising effort. And Cathedral Giving by Design, the actual events will be January 23rd and 24th of 2026, which sounds really far away. But our team, I feel like we're little ducks on the water and our feet are going like this because there's been a lot to do. But we are doing it with great joy and great gratitude because you saw those girls on this. I can't even talk about it without getting teary. So thank you for being here today. And when you get your mailing or you go online, I really would appreciate your consideration. So with that being said, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.